moving right along. We will have our 4 15mm machine screws, 4 nuts, 4 of these screws, and these nuts aren't lock nuts, so that will be Loctited. Got your plastic pieces there. Okay. And what it wants us to do is mount the bumper. Okay, so that'll be mounted like that. And to do that, we'll need to Loctite our screws and we'll get moving. Okay, so that completes that step. And on to step 6. Step 6, pretty straightforward. Need 4 of the self-tapping screws, 2 of these brackets, and one of this cross member here. Keep in mind that I'm cutting the flashing off of all these off camera. Okay, there you have it. On to step 8. Okay, on to part 8. Step 8. Got 4 of the 3x12mm, those ones I was worried about. 2 of the 3x8 self-tappers, and 4 nuts. First step is, got these 2 plastic pieces. This one goes in like so. There's 2 holes in the back. It's going to be tricky. Okay, there we go. I got it lined up. It's kind of pre-molded inside. And we're going to go ahead and screw these guys in. Alright. Now at this point they have the truck body frame, whatever, oriented to that way. So again, these are not nylocks or Loctiters or lock nuts of any sort, so I'm going to Loctite and install. So there we have it. That is mounted. On to step 9. Okay, on to step 9. I went ahead and laid out the parts, all right here. And note that you want to use this axle piece. Well, I think they're the same, yeah. But the biggest thing is make sure to use these ones for this step. This one has a protrusion out there. So we're not going to use these axles. We're going to use these ones. And they supplied 2 bottles of this grease. It tells you where to put it. So they want a bunch here. Okay. I'm going to take one of the thin washers, put that on. Okay. Or then one of the BD7s, which are plastic bushings. And then what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these one day. This is plastic. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this in the race, if you'll call it that. And I like to make a nice mess when I do this. Okay, because they're plastic. I mean, they need lubricated, right? Now this piece will go into your axle or arm thing, whatever this is called. And then now we get to use a real bearing. And oh, you know what, before I do that, also they want this white grease all up in here, like that. I'm just going to put a bunch on. Let's do the whole thing. How about that? There we go. Then it won't rust, right? Right. There. Give us 2 tubes, why not? Okay, so then that goes in like this. Okay. And then 1 bearing. Boom, like that. Put a little dab of this grease on this bearing. Not as much on this one. Okay. Another washer. that. And then an E-clip. Okay, and we're going to repeat this 4 times, and we'll end up doing it for these axles as well. So you get the idea. I'll do that 4 times. Okay, on to step 11. And steps, basically it says step 9 through 26 we're going to do twice. We're going to be making 2 transmissions. So I'll do one and on camera and one off. So you take this piece here, notice it's not the one with the bulge, it's just a flat one. You need to take one of your axles that's got the extended end there and put that in. There's a little locating pin right here, and that'll go into that hole, and then that locates it where it needs to be. Then Loctite again with 4 screws. Alright, now we're going to take 2 of these pins. They're in a separate bag. They look like that. We're going to snap them into that hole there, that hole there. Okay. And then these need to be greased. There you go, a little bit of grease in there. And we're going to take this gear here and and more plastic bushings. If I did this build again in the future, I would have pre-ordered metal bearings, regular roller bearings. I don't like these plastic ones too much, but at any rate, we'll deal with it. One thing I didn't mention earlier, I should have. These are directional. They've got, if you look right there, they've got little notches. Focus. Hopefully you can see those little notches, and it'll tell you which way in the manual. This one's actually going to go just like I showed it, so the notches will be facing up. Okay, so I put a little grease on this so-called bearing, put that on, notches up, and then this plastic guy right here will go in that spot. There we go. Another plastic bearing, and this one doesn't say which way the notches go. I'm just gonna, it probably doesn't matter honestly, but that might be a little bit anal when I do RC. Go ahead and put that. This is the wrong bearing, I'm sorry. I don't have that one laid out. We'll get back to that. So then we're going to have a big bearing here, a bushing, then this gear right here will go into this spot here. Okay, so we got that gear in, and then you need these little bushings. That was the holdup. I couldn't find them. They were actually in a little bag with a couple Allen keys and some body clips. So put that on, a little bit of grease, and that'll slide in like that. Okay, next we need another plastic bearing, grease, put it into place. Then we have a plastic bushing that's on parts tree B. That goes on. And then this gear goes on like that. Okay. Then again, another one of these. They call them bearings. I call them bronze bushings. Goes in there. And that completes step 12. We'll move right along to step 13. So we're going to take this guy right here and hold it in that direction. Got 3 of these pins. Put some goop on them. And put them in like that. I'll do that 2 more times. Alright, that's what we end up with. Take one of these and this gear, put it in like so. I'm going to go ahead and grease it. I'll grease all this pretty heavily here in a second. Put some grease in there. Here we go. And this guy's going to go on that. And at this point, I'm going to put a bunch of grease on this gear here. Work it around a little bit, see that grease going? Put a little bit of grease on this side. This is why they give you 2 tubes. Lots of grease. And at this point I'm going to get all the gears greased up. Okay, now this piece goes on like that. One more of these in there. Okay, everything's working nice and I'm making a big old mess. On to step 14.